India's great desert. Baking heat, desiccating winds, and near-permanent drought have earned this unforgiving land another name, the region of death. But this desert is full of life. It's a hotspot for nature, home to some of the toughest and rarest creatures on Earth. Millions of people live here too. It's the most crowded desert in the world. Humans and animals have forged incredible alliances to survive. This is no ordinary wilderness. This is the Thar, the desert of life. The Thar Desert, a land of contrasts. Temperatures soar to over 50 degrees C, and less than 5 centimeters of rain falls each year. It's one of the harshest places on the planet. Yet somehow, life has existed here for millennia, and not just typically tough desert characters. Beyond the dunes lies a tapestry of landscapes, woodlands, desert scrub, salt pans, grassy plains, dry forests, and even cities. These habitats provide homes for an incredible array of animals. Humans have flourished here since the Stone Age. Tribes with colorful histories, ancient traditions, and a spiritual connection with nature. The world's most crowded desert is home to over 80 people per square kilometer, compared with just 7 in the Sahara. Together, people and animals have changed the face of this desolate landscape. In some places, it's unrecognizable. The cities are man-made oases, perfect for light-fingered opportunists. But with so many mouths to feed, even here, life is tough. All the desert's inhabitants struggle to find food and water. Their lives are dictated by heat and drought. Despite the difficulties simply trying to survive, the Thar is still overcrowded. And miraculously, this scorched land continues to support a wealth of life. Exploring India's great desert reveals its hidden secrets and the unique spiritual relationships that exist here. On these sacred sands, the lives of man and beast are so closely entwined that they owe their survival to each other. India's desert covers 200,000 square kilometers across the far northwest of the country. Taking in the states of northern Gujarat and Rajasthan, the desert engulfs 10% of India's landmass, before sweeping north across the border into Pakistan. This border country is the empty heart of an otherwise crowded desert. It's effectively a giant dust bowl. Billions of sand grains are whipped up by 100-kilometer-an-hour winds. They form immense sand dunes, some almost a kilometer high. Some never stop moving. Others have stood for thousands of years. Dune ridges ripple like waves in a seemingly endless sea of sand. With no shade or water, few animals make their home on these shifting sands. This is a land of nomads. Many of the region's tribes move through the desert in a constant search for water and grazing for their livestock. And every spring, they travel from the far corners of the Thar to a small town at its heart, Nagaur. 20,000 people gather for the desert's largest livestock market, the Nagaur Fair. They come to celebrate their traditional way of life and their ancient alliance with nature. These people are farmers, but with regular droughts they can't rely on crops for food or income. Instead, they owe their survival to domesticated animals. Because of this dependence on animal farming, the desert is home to 10 times more livestock than anywhere else in India. Camels are central to desert life because they can withstand the intense heat and lack of water that would kill other species. Owners take great pride in their precious animals. With painstaking attention to detail, they're transformed into living works of art. The Mawari horse is also highly valued. Its unique smooth step, the reval, enables the rider to travel across sand in comfort. Mawari means from the land of death. Originally bred for desert warriors, it's a war horse of incredible stamina that can thrive with little food or water. Desert people have always shared their lives with animals and relied on them for survival. This has created an ingrained tradition of respect for animals, fundamental to life all over the Thar. 200 kilometers from Nagaur, on the desert's eastern edge, is the state's capital, Jaipur. It's the urban hub of the world's most crowded desert. Jaipur, capital city of India's Thar Desert. Approaching 3 million people, it's one of the fastest growing places on the planet. But people don't have the city to themselves. Animals threaten to take over the streets. The most successful invaders are Jaipur's monkeys. Alongside humans, rhesus macaques are the world's most adaptable primates. The urban jungle is full of opportunities. There's great food and plenty to drink. Traditionally, macaques live in forests. But as Jaipur has expanded into their natural home, they've adapted to city life. 40 street gangs now terrorize the neighborhood. But above Jaipur's hectic streets, one macaque family occupies a privileged position. This is the 60-strong temple troop. Though protected by a male, it's the alpha female who's in charge. Female macaques stay together for life and are the core of the group. This family thrives because they live in a temple dedicated to monkeys. Every year, thousands of pilgrims come here to worship Hanuman, the monkey god. According to Hindu religion, Hanuman defeated evil, and as a result, all monkeys are considered sacred. The temple troop is treated like royalty. Pilgrims show their respect for Hanuman by feeding the macaques. This is monkey heaven, where the family can afford to relax and have fun. Life will get harder in time. When summer sets in, the city will heat up. supplies of food and water will dwindle, and the troop will have to fight for survival. But spring is a time of plenty. Pilgrims have enough food to be generous. It's not just monkeys that are sacred here. 90% of India's population is Hindu, a religion that worships many animal gods. Hindus believe that humans and animals are one family, so all creatures should be treated with respect and kindness. And in the Thar, that includes a creature much of the world loves to hate. 300 kilometers northwest of Jaipur is the isolated town of Deshnok. The city is famous for its temple of nightmares. It's crawling with rats. Even today, rats spread bubonic plague, salmonella, and tuberculosis via infected fleas. Seen as vermin worldwide, rats are often killed on sight. But here, they're revered. Thousands of Hindus flock to the temple to honor the miracle goddess, Karni Mata. The temple's rats are believed to be Karni Mata's children. Reincarnated in a rat's body, they are known as kabbas. The sight of a kabba brings good luck. Feeding the rats is an even greater honor. Worshippers offer the rats a sweetmeat known as prasad. Flour, sugar, and clarified butter are mixed into huge quantities in the temple kitchens. Visiting the rat temple is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for some. Others come here every day. Devdan is one of the temple elite. He can trace his family back to the goddess, Karni Mata. He believes that when he dies, he will return here, reborn as a rat. 3 times a day he comes to pray to his holy aunt and share food with his relatives. 20,000 rats live a life of luxury in the temple. There's never been an outbreak of disease here, even though people share food with rats, which is considered the ultimate honor. Hindus believe people and animals share an eternal journey. Born as a human in this life, you may be a rat in the next. Such reverence isn't reserved for rats. In another part of the desert, scavengers get special treatment too. 160 kilometers south of Deshnok's rat temple is a city known as the gateway to the desert, Jodhpur. It's dominated by one of India's most impressive buildings, Mehrangarh Fort, also known as Mountain of Birds. Its battlements tower 120 meters above the city, and they've been occupied for centuries. The fort is a stronghold for birds of prey, thanks to the people of Jodhpur. In the fabled Blue City, raptors have long been protected. Caring for the black kite population is the task Latif Qureshi takes to heart. Latif feeds the kites every day, as his family has done for generations. It's a great honor. Nurtured by the city, the kites thrive in their desert fortress. They share their home with long-billed vultures that nest on its battlements. But India's vultures haven't been so lucky. Their numbers fell by 90% in recent years, accidentally poisoned by a drug that is now banned. Fewer vultures nest here now, but Jodhpur's fort remains a vital breeding ground. Numbers are slowly recovering. Vultures rise on thermals and soar effortlessly above the blue city. The streets below are crowded with working animals. Cows are sacred to Hindus and cannot be eaten when they die. Instead, they must be respectfully disposed of. Every day, carcasses are wheeled to the edge of the city, where they're left to the scavengers. Birds of prey are invaluable to society. Vultures are fed. In return, they clean up the city, helping ensure disease doesn't get a grip. Marangar Fort isn't only a haven for birds. It's a sanctuary for another of India's most sacred animals. Revered above all monkeys is the Hanuman langur, believed to be the living incarnation of the monkey god. This adaptable primate can survive everywhere from steaming jungles to frozen forests. No other monkey lives in the center of a parched desert. Langurs know which desert plants are edible and get most of the moisture they need from solid food. But they also seize man-made opportunities. Every morning, the family leave their trees to take a trip into town. Incredible acrobats, they gracefully scale the rooftops on their way to Marangar Fort. It's usually a good place to get handouts from generous pilgrims. But today, there's a very different welcoming committee. Rogue bachelor males patrol the ramparts. Without a troop of their own, they team up to try and steal one. And they use force. Troop takeovers can be brutal. New males never adopt existing youngsters. If they win, they will kill the infants. Mothers are desperate to save their babies. The bachelors dwarf the females, but the sisterhood stands strong. The alpha female shows incredible bravery. She risks life and limb to repel the attackers. It's not their time yet. The bachelors flee, but they'll be back. Male takeovers are part and parcel of Langur life. The alpha male is only strong enough to retain a troop for a few years. Scarred from previous battles, his days at the top are numbered. Competition is fierce all over India's crowded desert. Even city macaques fight to survive. Jaipur, capital of India's desert state, a crowded metropolis with millions to feed. When summer drought cuts food to the city, pilgrims are less generous to holy monkeys. The macaques that live at the temple are going hungry, but there's still plenty to eat downtown. The temple troop is on a mission to find food, but in the blistering heat, the youngsters take time out to cool down. The rest of the family is anxious to move on. They've got a date at Jaipur's central market. For the hungry troop, this is a banquet too tempting to resist. The family moves into position. From their rooftop vantage point, they plan their strategy. It's a slick, carefully coordinated operation. The thieves move with stealth and speed. It's daylight robbery. Hindus may worship monkeys, but their patience is pushed to the limit during a long, hot summer. The city's brazen macaques become a serious nuisance. But the people of Jaipur have a secret weapon. Danalao, the monkey catcher. Dana is employed to rid the city of problem monkeys. He knows where the troublemakers hide, and he's one step ahead. Macaques might be clever, but it's hard to outsmart the monkey catcher. Danalal takes the problem macaques on a return journey, 150 kilometers outside Jaipur, to their ancestral home, the Arivali Hills. India's oldest mountain range forms a natural barrier to the Thar Desert, running 800 kilometers on its southeastern edge. The ancient mountains are a source of many rivers and home to a rich diversity of life. Rare creatures, like the sloth bear, find refuge in these hills. But to city-bred monkeys, it's a shock to the system. Having never experienced life in the wild before, they have a lot of adjusting to do. They will have to relearn the survival skills of their forest ancestors. Until then, they'll have to make do with a roadside snack. The Arivali Hills are blessed with water, but in the baking heat, the forest is tinder dry. In the summer, animals crowd the water holes. A sambar deer cakes himself in mud as a way of keeping cool. Female wild boar feel the heat too, especially with the demands of thirsty piglets. For many animals, it's the breeding season. Male sambar deer prepare for the rut. Male peacocks are competing too, with beautiful displays. Females prefer males with big tails, but fabulous feathers can attract deadly admirers. This region is home to India's most iconic predator. All forest animals share a common enemy, and they work together to try and survive. Many eyes are alert to danger. The neighbors operate an early warning system. One of the Langar troop didn't make it to safety. Down on the ground, a monkey can provide an easy meal. The Arivali forest is home to around 30 of India's remaining 1,500 Bengal tigers. The Thar Desert provides a sanctuary to many of India's native species, and it also attracts visitors from much further afield. One migrates thousands of kilometers from China and Russia to reach the desert. On its epic journey, it must scale the world's highest mountains. The Himalayas stretch for 2,400 kilometers across Asia. The tallest peak rises almost 9 kilometers above sea level. Everest. Everest is known in Tibet as the mountain so high no bird can fly over it. But one remarkable species has proved otherwise. The demoiselle crane. To escape Asia's bitter winters, the cranes take on the planet's ultimate mountain challenge. These delicate-looking birds find the strength to battle freezing winds and air so thin they're literally starved of oxygen. Flying alongside their parents are juveniles, only recently fledged. But their parents can't protect them from masterful mountain predators. Golden eagles work in pairs to hunt down the weak. The flock is exhausted, especially the youngsters. Identifying a target, the eagles close in at over 300 kilometers an hour. There's little chance of escape. This is the most perilous leg of the crane's migration. It's a miracle they survive their journey. The flocks fly 3,000 kilometers non-stop in just 7 days to get here, the tiny desert town of Kichan. The townspeople are honored to welcome the survivors and feed them throughout their 6-month stay. Their generosity is a mark of their respect for the cranes, and it's justly rewarded. 9,000 cranes flock to Kichan, one of the largest congregations in the world. It's a safe, warm place to winter, and there's enough food to recover from their arduous trip. In some countries, cranes are shot and face extinction. But here, they're protected. The people of Kichan consider it a privilege to host these incredible migrants. Revering nature is a way of life all over the desert. The Thar is a stronghold for the Indian wolf, which thrives in undisturbed areas. The wolves live in tightly knit family groups, led by a dominant pair. Once, they were widespread across the country. Now, fewer than 3,000 survive. Sheep make easy prey, and in some parts of India, wolves have even hunted human children. Understandably, this has made them public enemy number one. But Hindu tribes consider killing wolves taboo. Though still persecuted by some, the Indian wolf is now also protected by law. The Thar is home to a surprising number of predators: Indian foxes, hyenas, and the king of them all, an animal that once rivaled the tiger. At the far southern edge of the desert, in Gujarat Gir forest, lives a predator normally associated with Africa. This parched forest is at its most dangerous in the summer, when one of the world's most formidable predators has youngsters to feed. Life-saving water sources become death traps. This is lion country. Females have cubs during the hottest months of the year, when prey is forced to visit shrinking waterholes, and it's easier to make a kill. Indian lions can hunt successfully alone, using the cover of the trees to get within striking distance. Unlike their African cousins, Indian lions have a thinner mane and a long line of skin running down their belly. The Gir forest is the last stronghold of lions which once roamed all over Europe, Asia, and India. After a century of big game hunting, they were at the brink of extinction. In 1900, there were just 20 lions left. Now there are around 500. They owe their survival to the Maldari herdsmen, who gave up their ancestral homelands to create a lion reserve. With nothing but thorn fences for protection, the Maldaris' tolerance for big cats is remarkable. The Maldaris are Hindus and consider the lion sacred. They worship the man-lion, Narasimha, a supreme god. Even though lions are venturing outside the reserve, the Maldari continue to tolerate their dangerous neighbor. When the oppressive summer heat is at its peak, it's too hot to move. Temperatures soar to 50 degrees centigrade. Without a drop of rain, the desert is gripped by drought. The region's capital city, Jaipur, feels the effects of food and water shortages. Water supplies are drying out, even at the temple. But the resident troop still has one precious pool left. At this time of year, they're permanently on guard. Given half a chance, neighboring troops will steal their prime territory. In macaque society, you have to defend your home if you want to keep it. The temple troop has lived here in luxury for generations. It's the main reason so many have survived. But their rivals are closing in. They'll do almost anything to claim the temple and its priceless water supplies. The temple troop forms a defensive wall. But desperation is a powerful driving force. The intruders take their chance and attack. They break the temple troops' defensive lines. Now anything's possible. It's hard to know who's who until the rival's dominant male makes his move. He attacks the alpha female. It's a big mistake. Her family leaps to her defense. The big male turns tail and flees. His troop follow suit. Their attack crumbles. The macaques cling on to the temple, but one female has suffered a terrible loss. Caught up in the fighting, her baby has died. A solemn mood settles over the whole family. They know something is wrong. It's impossible to know what the mother is thinking, but she carries her baby around for hours before finally letting go. It's a confusing time for the youngsters. And there'll be more deaths if the rains don't arrive soon. If they don't get enough food and water, female macaques are sometimes forced to abandon their babies. For now, all they can do is watch and wait. After 10 months of drought, India's baking desert is rock hard. Suddenly, a change in the air. The monsoon stirs. Low pressure sucks moisture-laden air from the Indian Ocean towards the Himalayas. As it rises and cools, heavy storm clouds, charged with electricity, finally release what's longed for. The monsoon transforms the city. A year's rain falls in a matter of hours. It may be a lifesaver, but the deluge is a shock to some of Jaipur's residents. It's the same scene all over the Thar. But the mood is changing. The city streets flow like rivers. Precious water is everywhere. This is a time for celebration. The monsoon is vital to all life here. Within days, the desert is transformed. Soils become fertile. Crops regrow. Jaipur is quick to reap the benefits. Fresh food and water stocks are replenished. Pilgrims return to the monkey temple, and now they have plenty to share. The temple troop females will not abandon their babies. And there are new faces in the crowd. At last, the family has time to groom and renew old friendships. For now, the macaques can relax, but survival in this harsh desert will always be a struggle. And with India's population booming and global temperatures rising, life can only get harder. The spiritual relationships that unite the Thar's human and animal inhabitants will increasingly shape their future in the world's most crowded desert. The Thar Desert, so harsh, yet so full of life. Where animals and people have always needed each other. Competition is fierce, and the fight for survival can be desperate. But on these sacred sands, a spirit of compassion saves lives. The Thar is home to more creatures than any other desert in the world, because its people have a long tradition of respect for nature.